Many years ago, there was a player who didn't just have good handles, but he had the best handles in the entire world. That's not me hyping him up, that's the truth. What made his handles the best is that he knew how to use them, and here's what I mean. A lot of people don't actually realize that it's much more than having handles. There's a lot of players that have good handles, but they don't know how to use them correctly. The player we're going to talk about in this video not only had the handles, but he had the footwork to go along with it. If you're a legit and an advanced hooper, you're gonna know what I'm about to say. Your footwork is the key to blowing past defenders and making them look silly. It's all about how you set up your defenders, and you also gotta have good tempo. You gotta know when to go fast and when to slow it down. And oh yeah, we can't forget to mention that you gotta have a mean hesitation move. And this guy had just that. He was making defenders look stupid out there. If you had to guard this guy in high school, I felt bad for you because you was gonna be on his hoop mixtape. Speaking of hoop mixtapes, a lot of his videos have over millions of views, and even till this day, he has my favorite hoop mixtape video. He didn't just have good handles, he was also a lethal shooter and he could score a ton of points. He averaged over 30 points per game in high school. To make things even better, he was also one of the top rated recruits in his entire class, and every single college wanted him. He had the world in his eyes, and there was nothing that was going to stop him or get in his way. But however, with that being said, ever since high school, we haven't heard a single thing out of this player. You don't even hear his name brought up anymore, and that is mind-boggling to me. So therefore, it leaves us with the question today: what really happened to Marcus Lovett Jr.? What's good, y'all? I hope you're having a blessed day. Just wanted to drop by and say thank you all so much for all the support. It's been crazy. I'm glad you're loving the content, and I also enjoy making the content. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. Now, without further ado, let's get into this story. Marcus Lovett Jr. Mama, there goes that man. He has my favorite basketball hoop mixtape of all time. I'm sure you right now watching this, you have that one mixtape video that you go to and watch for motivation and even before some of your games. And for me, this was my player, and he had the best video I've ever seen, even till this date. I don't think I'm the only one either, because that video I'm referring to has over 8 million views. I'm going to be throwing some of the clips of the video up on the screen, and you can understand why this dude was raw and lethal. He wasn't a one-hit wonder either. He has over 5 to 6 videos with millions of views. I could go on and on about this dude. I just love Marcus Lovett Jr.'s mixtapes. They get me so hype, and I don't even know why. I actually saw that this video has been requested by some guy who's commented like 6 or 7 days straight, and that comment always gets 50 to 60 likes. Matt's a fan of the people, and I'm gonna give you what you want. If you have a video recommendation, leave it down below, and like always, if it gets a lot of likes, I'll look into it. Anyways, to get into Marcus Lovett's story, you already know. We gotta throw it all the way back to where things started. Mr. Lovett Jr. started playing varsity basketball as just a freshman for the season 2011 through 2012. Nobody knew who he was as a freshman, and there wasn't even a scouting report, but that would change very quickly. To say he dominated basketball as a freshman may be an understatement. In 27 games played in 2011, he averaged over 31 points per game as a freshman. I've emphasized freshman a lot because that is unreal and remarkable. 31.7 points per game. I cannot get over that. He also pitched in 3.4 assists and 4.6 rebounds and 3.1 steals. A little side note to throw in there is that he was only listed at 5'11", so he wasn't dunking on people left and right. Flash forward in time to his sophomore season, there was a scouting report, but that still didn't stop him. With being double teamed throughout every single game, he still somehow managed to average almost 34 points per game. For his 10th grade year, he averaged 33.9 points per game, 2.3 assists, and 3.5 rebounds. The crazy part about it was that I remember one time in sophomore season, a team held him to 25 points and they said he had a bad game. Just imagine that. I'm sure almost every one of us watching this, if we had 25 points, that would be a great game. But for him, it wasn't. I also want to share this with you. In his freshman season, which is a mini throwback, he had 6 games with over 40 points. If that doesn't impress you enough, he also dropped 57 points in just one game. Back on topic with the current time in our story, which is his 10th grade or sophomore season, this is when he started to get most of his hype and attention. He was getting a lot of clout on YouTube, but he was also getting a lot of recognition on the ESPN ranking side. College scouts were starting to tune in because they was trying to figure out who in the world is this kid averaging over 30 points per game. Then too, on YouTube, he was the guy that's going to pull a lot of views because he was a flashy player. So going into his junior season, he was going to get double teamed. That was without a doubt. The question was, how would he handle it? The pressure he had as just a junior was something that we haven't seen at the time. People are expecting a lot out of him because he was huge and famous on YouTube, but he was also a ranked recruit. I wouldn't go as too far as you saying he exceeded the expectations, but he for sure met them. In 27 games played, he averaged 22.7 points per game, 5.6 assists, and 3.7 rebounds. I know exactly what you're thinking. Yo Matt, why in the world did his points decline? Going into his junior season, he did transfer to a better school, so there was also better players, so he couldn't pad his stats. Or he wasn't really padding his stats, but there was other good players that had to get theirs, so you understand what I'm trying to say. It's the same thing with LaMelo Ball. When LaMelo was at Chino Hills, yeah, he could average 50 a game, but there wasn't that many good players on the team, so he was carrying. But when he went to Spire Institute, he was only averaging like 15 per game, and that's because everyone's got to get their stats too. Even though his points dropped, his play didn't. And hey, averaging 22.7 points per game is still incredible. When his junior season came to an end, he was now listed as a 4-star recruit on ESPN with an 80 overall scout grade. He was also a top 10 player in his entire state, which is a great honor. What really impressed me the most about Marcus Lovett is that he was an undersized point guard. He was only 6 foot and 165 pounds. Even for the high school level, yes, that is undersized. After his junior season though, he transferred to a school known as Morgan Park High School in Chicago. This was a really good school, and this was going to help him get ready for the college level, and he had a great year once again. He averaged 25 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. One key thing to note is that in that season, he really developed his overall game. He wasn't just now known as a scorer, he was known as a playmaker that could get everyone else involved. He helped lead his team to the state semifinals. They did lose, but he put up 45 points. With his what I like to call once-in-a-lifetime high school career coming to an end, there was only one thing left to do, and that was to go to college. And now, this is where our story takes one of the most bizarre turns I've ever seen. On May 21st in 2015, this is when he officially signed with St. John's. This was a great fit for him because he was going to come in, be the star player right away, and hopefully be a one and done and get to the NBA. When Marcus got to St. John's in 2015, he was practicing with the team and things were looking really good. But right before the season, St. John's announced that he was going to be a quote-unquote partial qualifier for the 2015 through 16 year. I know none of you have no idea what that means because I didn't, but it basically means that he can't play in any games, but he can practice with the team. I already know what you're thinking. Matt, what in the world happened and what's going on? And it's kind of crazy, and it's the NCAA being what I like to call the NCAA. Complete BS. Right before the season was about to start, the NCAA launched an investigation on Marcus Lovett's high school credits. Basically, in other terms, if you don't know what that means, they were saying they didn't believe he got enough credits to even be in college. Even if it was true or false, who in the crap cares, and why didn't they make that decision way before the season started? That way he could get the credits he needed. The athletic director at St. John's disagreed with it, and he said that Marcus had enough credits. There was a huge debate and fight going on, and here's what the college and the athletic director had to say. The university disagrees with the NCAA's decision and the process it used in reviewing Marcus's initial eligibility waiver request. We have engaged in several conversations with the NCAA to express our concerns that their process may have violated Marcus's legal rights. Unfortunately, it appears that the NCAA elected to disregard these concerns. We have advised Marcus and his family to consult with appropriate legal counsel about the options that may be available to challenge the ruling and the standards it applied in this process. So basically what that means, dumbing it down once again, is that St. John's tried to appeal the suspension and the NCAA denied it. The fact that they wouldn't even take the appeal is completely bogus. Here's what Marcus's and St. John's head coach had to say. Quote unquote, Marcus and his family have been patient throughout the lengthy process. Marcus deserves to play and has done everything asked of him. Our staff is here to encourage Marcus as he continues to work hard on and off the court to be prepared to compete the next season. To make a long story short, that process went on throughout the entire season and he didn't even get to play one game. I can't express how much I feel bad for him because this messed up everything and this was a start to a huge downfall. More than likely, he was going to be a one and done and get to the NBA in maybe 1 to 2 years, but this slowed everything down. Let's look at it this way, even if he was missing a credit, Who in the crap cares? It's high school. Most of these kids in high school that get to college, they're not even taking their classes. The school system is a complete joke, but that's another topic for another day. We got a long way to go, so let's continue on. Flash forward in time to the year 2016 through 17, which is technically his first year in his freshman season. He put on a show. He started every game but 5 and averaged over 31 minutes per game, which is a lot. And as a freshman, he was nothing short of fabulous. He averaged 15.9 points per game. That's even more impressive because he went a whole year without playing. He also pitched in 2.9 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1.3 steals. I would even say he was beyond efficient from the field. He shot 46% from the overall field and over 38% from the 3-point line. He literally shut up the NCAA and all of his haters and all of his critics. The only knock on him going into college was the fact that people said he couldn't shoot. But for him to shoot almost 40% was ridiculous. When it was all said and done, he was a unanimous selection to the All Big East rookie team. I could go on and on about his freshman season because it was so good. He even had a game at 32 points against Xavier. His year was so good, matter of fact, that before the year started, he said that he only planned on playing 2 years and then going pro. But after the season where he went off, he said he thought about going to the draft. He thought about it for a very long time and had a discussion with his family, and he decided that it would be best for him to come back. Him returning back to St. John's for his second year turned out to be the wrong decision. In his second season, he was dominating the competition once again, but on November 26 in 2017, he suffered an MCL sprain. At first, he was reported to be listed as a day-to-day injury, but on January 10th in 2018, he announced that he wasn't even going to play again. So for the season 2017 through 18, he only played in 7 games. Even though it was just 7 games, he still had a similar year to his freshman season. He averaged 14.9 points per game, 2 rebounds, and roughly 2 assists. His field goal percentage was at 42, and his 3-point percentage even went up to 38.5. So it was a carbon copy paste of his freshman season, and it was a good start. Him getting hurt really held him back and hurt his draft stock. The reason for that is fairly simple. When you get hurt and you can't play, scouts obviously can't see you play, so they go see other players. If he would have played his entire second season, he would have been a for sure draft pick. With him getting hurt also, it seemed like an idea that he'd probably come back to St. John's for his 3rd season. But however, with that being said, on February in 2018, he announced that he was going to leave St. John's and pursue a professional career. This seemed overall fishy because you see and notice how I said professional career, not an NBA career. It almost seemed like he knew he wasn't going to get drafted and he wasn't going to be an NBA player. In a lot of interviews and stuff, he was talking about going overseas and playing, and I almost think that that's what he wanted to do. I don't know if he got tired of the spotlight and attention he's been in ever since he was 14 or 15, but he wound up going overseas. He didn't go to the NBA. Instead, he wound up joining a team in the Liga Basketball Series Association. I know what you're sitting there thinking, Matt, what in the heck is that? And to be honest, I didn't even find any information on that team. It doesn't even really matter because he only trained and played with that team for 5 preseason games. Then shortly after, on September 18th in 2018, he moved to a different team in the LBA League. Apparently, from everything I saw, he just played with both of these teams for the preseason. Then on November 9th in 2018, this is when he officially signed his first professional contract. He signed with a team that goes by the name of Sloboda Uzice, hope I'm saying that correctly, and they're out of Serbia. As to why he went all the way to Serbia to play, I have no idea, but it turned out to be one of the greatest decisions he ever made. In 18 games played for this team, he averaged 20.6 points per game, 4.3 assists, and 3.1 rebounds. And for the entire league, he ranked 2nd in scoring. He played with that team for roughly a year or two, but on July 6th in 2020, he signed with a different team in the Turkish Basketball League. And now, as an up-to-date when I'm making this video, he plays in the Portuguese Basketball League. I want to say this and make this clear. It seems like Marcus is living his best life. He's going from team to team and traveling the world. And at the same time, he's getting to do what he loves. And that is the current up-to-date on Marcus Lovett Jr. and where he's at now. It's really unfortunate that he didn't get to the NBA, but like I've stated, I really don't even know if he wanted to be there in the first place. I'm sure he did, but I don't really know because a lot of players that try to get there, they usually try to go to the G League route and then they'll go overseas. But he didn't even do that. His downfall was strange because it had nothing to do with his playing ability. He's been a monster ever since he stepped on the court, and it hasn't changed. It was just another classic case of the NCAA holding back a great player, and he also got hurt, and I think that held him back too. When I was doing all my research for this video, I'm pretty happy that it doesn't end in a bad way because he was one of my favorite high school hoopers of all time. He's a straight up legend, at least in my eyes, and nobody else can tell me differently. Let me know in the comment section what you think of Marcus Lovett Jr. and would he have got to the NBA if he didn't get hurt? Let me know your thoughts down below. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family. Hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 5 million, baby. And as always, let's be great about your peace.